listen, he didn't listen. This video I'm making because just to help people out there who are being targeted. Now, this kind of targeting, it's indirect, but very possible. Now, some washers are Wi-Fi capable, and they even broadcast a signal that's called an SSID. I don't remember what SSID stands for, but but it's kind of like it's the electronic equivalent of somebody standing in a room and shouting their name out. It's an electronic equivalent of that. And some devices, you can go into the settings and you can make what's called a hidden network. Then it's not broadcast. And then every device that you connect to it, you have to manually put it in. That's why you see sometimes in some of your devices it says manually configure network, or what's other things they'll say? They'll say manually enter network on the settings of some devices. This is the opposite of that. You can't hide it. So it's always broadcast. So that means if your neighbors, if you live in a place where you have overlapping walls. Now, we used to live in a place where we can only be overlapped. We had two walls, two sides where people could hack us. And I've told about that before. One of the families that hacked my Gmail, and Google regularly informed me of this. They were people who lived next to us, and actually their family members assaulted me. Google was regularly informing me that almost a year they were hacking into my Gmail. And they even put the Gmail icon in their back window and their front window. The back window faces the highway because our townhomes, our building was right on the highway, the back of our building. And people could see our windows from the highway. And then inside, they would have it on their front window, which you can see from the parking lot. And actually, you can see it the whole driveway, because it was a circle drive. And more than likely, these are the people. I have pretty solid evidence. Somebody who's a member of a local one race only motorcycle group. They actually, one day they emailed me. This is one of the people who eventually was involved in my assault. Emailed me along with this guy. How do I know? I'll explain later. A job offer. And so I jumped on it, left voicemail, replied by email, and then I kept playing voicemail with this guy over the course of a night. And then I just happened to hear him and the people who eventually assaulted me sitting in their backyard laughing and holding his phone and talking on the phone while I had sent him a voicemail. And it sounded like it was listening to my voice. And that was the point. And then I heard them laughing about how it was so funny that they messed with me like this. So I put two and two together, It's coincidence. It's, not really direct evidence, but, it's an egg's an egg, And it looked like it was them. And then I'll notice all of a sudden, when I left the voicemail that his game was up, I know it was a fake job, he was gone within an hour. So then actually it was probably about 2 or 3 weeks after that, maybe a month, that I was assaulted. And these people, they still live in Saginaw County. Some of their relatives work at some of the stores that we go to. Actually, that pharmacy we don't go to anymore, but the Walmart we still do. But anyway, so if you have a Wi-Fi, oh yeah, so I'll explain. So if you have Wi-Fi capability, now I explained a little bit about how people could hack you through a wall, your email, or your devices. And they can also hack you if they have Wi-Fi devices and your washer is broadcasting SSID. If they can gain access to that SSID, which the reason why technology has advanced now to two-factor authentication and even special software that is geared with an algorithm towards you to log in is because honestly the US is very weak, actually pitifully weak on prosecuting electronic crime, especially in Michigan. It is pitiful. Even the Michigan State Police, they should be pouring thousands and thousands of dollars into electronic crime. They are not. Nobody is. That's the biggest threat to our national security. Why don't we put some money into Homeland Security to increase their police force? I don't know how big or how small it is, but as far as I know, I think that DHS has I'm not sure if it's a uniform division or undercover, but a lot of times they work with state, not Michigan State Police, with the State Department, with defense attaches or Defense Security Service. And also, what is it, diplomatic security? There's a couple of different divisions. But anyway, we need to increase funding to these people. That way they can work across, law enforcement lines, local, municipal, state, federal. They could cross these lines and prosecute electronic crime, which is in my thesis. It needed some revamping, but because of people keep hacking me, I had to rush it. I still got it. I got a 389 out of the class, or was it 393? Anyway, it was good, but it could have been refined, but I just had to rush. But I dealt with some of those issues in my thesis. It was like 75 pages. Some of these issues regarding, the electronics and crime crossing borders. But, electronic crime and other criminal networks crossing borders and how they also coincide. But so people can use your electronics to hack into your washer if it's Wi-Fi capable. Now I tracked my serial number, my washer that I bought from, this is the only sure charge as that in my air conditioner from a retail, electronics retail place. And this washer started in Canada. Don't ask me how it ended up in mid-Michigan in a electronics department store, but it's a Whirlpool. It was built in Canada. It's Wi-Fi capable. And actually, there's very little that they have to add to it to make it, Wi-Fi controlled. So what people will do, and they can also do this by messing with your sensors, but one thing that some places will do, some places, or malicious neighbors, they will hack in and mess with the water levels for your washer and the cycle times. They'll decrease the cycle time, for washing, for rinsing, They can lower the pressure for the jets. I mean, all kinds of stuff they can do. They can stop it in the middle of a cycle and shut it down. All kinds of stuff they can do so your clothes don't get clean. And I realized this after we were at a place for about 2 years. And I kept noticing, why the clothes don't seem clean. The smells, the itchiness is there. And I see stuff is still on laundry that should be gone because it was washed. Like stains, like tomato stains, fruit stains, pasta stains. I'm like, what the heck is this? And then I found another thing. So I'm like, why is the powder still there? The powder was never, it was never, what did I call it? It was never made soluble. It's still dry. And I just started watching the washer, and then I would notice sometimes it would only fill up a quarter of the way. Wash cycle, rinse cycle. And then other times it would. So I'm like, what the heck? Is it bad sensors? So then I called the guy. The guy's like, oh, it's water efficient. I'm like, yeah. But 6 months ago, these 2 cycles, it completely filled up. Oh, I don't know anything about that. Maybe you're mistaken. I'm like, no. I used to watch the washer when I'm in a hurry. And this was when everything was downstairs. We had a basement. And I'm like, I watch these cycles, and I'm very detail oriented. I want the clothes to get properly mixed around and clean. And he's like, oh, nobody does it. I'm like, well, you don't know me. I'm going to check it. If I don't stand in front of it for the first 3 or 4 minutes, I'm going to check on it throughout the cycle because I want my clothes clean. And he's like, well, no, you're mistaken. I'm like, no, I know the cycle. The deep water cycles, the, what's the other cycle called? Heavy wash cycle, which means it fills up and you get more rotator time. And then we moved into a new place and it got worse. Let me see, it stayed the same as the other place for about, maybe 4 or 5 months in this new place. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, it shrunk even more. And now, if I didn't cycle the washer on and off, we would have less than a quarter fullness in the tank. Less than a quarter full. This is for wash and rinse. Actually, I take that back. The rinse was worse. The clothes just barely got wet. There was less than 1/8 of water in the tank. They barely got wet. So they didn't get really rinsed. And then we're noticing this, also my daughter has allergies. I do, but mine are usually to fragrances. I tend to have a higher tolerance for antiseptic cleaners and stuff like that. But she has an allergy to antiseptic cleaners and to perfumes, and she was getting breakouts, getting urticaria, like hives and raised bumps, rashes, and so then I just start watching things more, and that was how, when all of this happened, I realized that this had gotten worse. But if I stood in front of the washer, or I cycled it on and off, then it would feel like it's supposed to. Now, my washer does have some kind of a feature for grounding. I don't know the exact specifics, but there's some kind of feature with grounding. When you cycle it back on or something, or maybe it's a sensor after it's closed, then things will hesitate before certain things pick up. But now spraying, the water going in there, as soon as it's closed, it starts. But the cycle, the rotator, the spinning, it's like a minute or two. So I don't know if there's a grounding feature on it. Somebody told me that some washers have a grounding feature. It's for safety, but also the more clever manufacturers will use it um, as a way to stop the washer, to stop any activity that can be harmful if you're touching it and it's grounded. Because they all have rubber legs. So, but if it has an additional ground when we touch it, I guess I don't know. It could have been somebody could have been joking around, or it's something they heard. But I know that the washer drastically changed, and it started stopping mid-cycle. This is not when I'm touching it. I would walk into the room and I would find that it's empty. I'm like, what the heck? It's supposed to be rinsing now, but there's no water in there, and it's already been spun. You can tell by where the clothes are positioned that it's been spun. But the clothes couldn't have possibly been clean because I still see soap and stuff on them. So I just started digging, and that's when I came to the possibility that that somehow the Wi-Fi has been enabled and somebody's screwing with it. And this also was supported by the fact sometimes when I am standing there, it'll just stop mid-cycle. It'll dump everything in there. The pump will purge the tank, and it won't spin. It'll just end the cycle like that. Or other times when it's supposed to be on a spinning after a wash cycle, it just stops. It never goes to the rinse cycle. It just started all these strange behaviors. But the pattern was chaotic. So that makes me think, what the heck, is somebody messing with that Wi-Fi capability? Or has somebody came in and tampered with it? Somebody could have tampered with the washer, because around the time we started having a problem with the washer was when somebody broke into our house. Actually, not broke into. At one point, I believe there was still a key that was readily available, because my apartment has never been rekeyed. I mean, it wasn't before us. It was never rekeyed. I forced them to rekey it. But somebody came and destroyed our dryer. That's when, we saw the tampering with the belt, and then I saw the hammer marks on the drum. Somebody had hit it with a hammer right where the belt sits. That way when it spins, it shakes, and the drum will vibrate because of the those two indentations when somebody hit it with a hammer right at the area where the belt sits. And it's a hammer, because I took my hammer and I put it in there, and it fits the ball of the hammer perfectly. And it's easy access to this, because actually there's just clips. You lift it up, there's clips, and then they could have hit it. This is our old dryer. We threw it away. But this is around the same time that all of this happened with the washer too. The strange behaviors. And I have known that at least one of the complexes that we've lived in the past 8 years, they actually ask people to get water efficient washers, and if they use too much water, they will ask people or just send a technician to adjust the water usage. I've caught 2 different complexes doing this type of stuff, going inside an apartment without the renter there, and somebody doing stuff to the washers. More than once. So that's just some way that people can, make you sick because your clothes aren't getting washed. Oh yeah, I almost forgot another thing that people did when they came in our house. Somebody came in our house, again, this is around the time somebody destroyed my washer. That's why I keep telling people I don't make this stuff up. I'm not a troublemaker. I'm just hoping that out of what's happened to us, God will be glorified by helping me notice things, by using the skills that I have. No, this is not a Taken movie, but the skills that I have acquired, and that we can help glorify God, and we can fight evil people who are targeting others, especially families and veterans. And so somebody stole our hot water hose. They disconnected it from the wall and from the washer, and they stole it. And then, just to try to fool me for a while, but I noticed it eventually, they switched it to cold water rinse. So, actually, it'd be cold water. Yeah, I think it is a cold water rinse switch. But, yeah, I didn't do that. And, I'm not sure if the people in the front office would know in that complex, but I guarantee you maintenance probably would. And so with the local guy, there's only like 2 guys that are in Saginaw County or the vicinity of Saginaw County that will service washers. It's not a lot of people. Sears is gone. A lot of the appliance stores, they don't have technicians anymore. They just sell them. They refer people to apps. So, it's a different environment now. You can't just call up your HVAC guy or girl or your heating and cooling and refrigeration and kitchen and laundry appliance person. So, it's probably good for them. They got a monopoly, those couple of people. But anyway, so this is hopefully it will help people. You have questions why you and possibly your children or your spouse are getting rashes and they're having a lot of itching. Well, first, obviously, check the water source. Some parts of Michigan, when they switch from lake to reservoir or from, what's another source? River. That's Genesee County. That was a big mistake. But it can affect the water quality. And then check your local water department. How often are they tested? I know from what I've seen in a couple of counties, it depends on who's running the water department. Especially, everybody knows now what happened in Genesee County. Well, they're not the only county with stuff going on. So things can change overnight. Too much fluoride, too much, sodium? Is it sodium they use in water purification? I forget. I think it's sodium. Caustic sodium. I think it was sodium. It's been a long time. But something they add to the water. It's caustic when it's added to water. So it helps them with destroying, and burning off unwanted sedimentation and vegetation inside of sewage. I think it was sodium. It's been a long time. But anyway, so things change with water quality. So check that first. And allergies and your soap. And then if every other possibility, brainstorming. Of course, using evidence. Don't use opinion. Use facts and evidence. Maybe you'll come to the fact that somebody's messing with your washer. And if it is a Wi-Fi unit, very, very possible. People will use Wi-Fi to do a lot of mischief. And if if you know about what an SSID is, and you seem to, when you log into Wi-Fi, you should change that stuff every now and then. And don't save everything that your device pairs with or every single network that you jump onto. Don't save all that stuff. Certainly on a standalone device, you're going to have to change that stuff every now and then. Your TVs, your Google Nests, your Alexa Echoes, or your Amazon Echo. You got to change that stuff every now and then, those passwords and stuff. But people can use Wi-Fi to really mess up people's lives. And if you're having lots of tenant changes around you, but the SSIDs stay the same, or you'll notice every now and then it goes to be somebody's name or some other ridiculous thing, and then it goes back to being like Spectrum Setup 7580, or like T-Mobile Hotspot 234. And things go back and forth, and then it goes to somebody's name for a while. Then all of a sudden you see that same SSID come back. Then you're like, wait a minute. It's because somebody is paying for the internet that doesn't live there. And that's a big flag. People don't do that. Also, it's fraud. Nobody's going to pay for internet when they move out of a place. It's fraud. So that's a flag right there. And if you drive around your neighborhood and you find strong broadcast signals from every single building, or you see hidden network one, that's a big flag. Hidden network one. Somebody's probably got some kind of IP camera system set up, or something, which is not good. And you go around and you find that there's tons of SSIDs broadcasting. A thing that people do is piggyback. They'll find a guest account, or there's malicious people out there who will share their username and their password, and they'll log into these accounts and they'll layer them so they can slowly move from one building to the next to target people. Or they'll move from like guest account to guest account. Most Wi-Fi routers nowadays will have a guest account SSID for people to use. Also, if you see a lot of those, that's a red flag. Most people don't leave a guest account for their neighbors. It opens up their network, makes it insecure. And also then you can't control your data to your device. And if that's a Wi-Fi, a hotspot, you want to track your data. Most people do, unless they just spend money freely. But, or they have, I guess there's some accounts that you don't have to track your data. But it's good to know. Like if you have unlimited, it's good to know, because eventually, sooner or later, you're going to hit a ceiling limit for data, and then you're going to be dropped down to 4G, or the big punishment that you see in the cellular world, 2G. That's the 2G infrastructure is not even used anymore. If you walk into a cell phone company, like a carrier, like T-Mobile, Verizon, Boost, and you say, yeah, I got this 2G phone, they're going to say, I can't help you. Because now 2G is used as a punishment. You went over your data, now you're going to 2G. That's why they won't let you use that phone that you bought for $5, that iPhone 3, because 2G now is a punishment. Went over your data, you're only supposed to use 100. Or you could pay $5 per gig. But anyway, so these are some of the tricks that people will do to mess with the health of your family. Mess with the health of your family through your washer. May seem like a ridiculous video, but if somebody who's really concerned about their family and they're wondering why they're having rashes or people keep getting sick, it's important to clean your clothes and sanitize them. This is the age of 2 million COVID variants, and you're getting some other viruses like the rhinovirus or influenza virus. There's tons of viruses out there, tons of strains, and herd immunity only goes so far, because you have people with multiple allergies, you have people with autoimmune, you have people with other, things that affect their immunity. Like I just read an article that the past 15 years, they have seen a 80% increase in veterans with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. An 85% increase. That's significant. So it could be diets, it could be, some kind of the opposite of herd immunity, maybe stuff we're treating our water with, or an increase in some kind of genetic, markers that are being activated by something, stress, diet, um, or it could be an increase in autoimmune diseases. It's hard to say. We know among veterans that have been deployed to Vietnam and the Middle East that the autoimmune thing could be significant. It could be a big reason right there. A lot of the stuff, and then the pesticides and the water problems. It could be, that could be a big problem right there as to why we have that uptick in NALFD cases. But anyway, I hope this helped people to, consider one way that people are going to target your family and mess with your family is through that really, really cool smartphone-enabled Wi-Fi washer.